Rachel, Ethan began, his voice a perfect blend of steadiness and bubbling excitement. There's something very important I want to share with you. I would like you to meet my father. He's genuinely thrilled and eager to get to know you. Rachel's eyes widened, her face lighting up with a mix of surprise and joy. Really? That's incredible. When and where? Ethan's face broke into a wide smile, visibly relieved and pleased by her enthusiasm. I've arranged for us to meet him at Le Pouc, the exquisite French restaurant downtown, tomorrow evening. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Rachel's eyes gleamed with a mixture of awe and excitement as she repeated, Le Pouc. Isn't that the most opulent restaurant in the entire city? Ethan nodded, his excitement evident. Yes, it certainly is. It's renowned for its elegance and exquisite cuisine. Rachel's entire face lit up with joy and anticipation. I'd love to. I can't wait to meet him and experience such a wonderful evening. She could already envision the scene, the softly lit ambience, the clinking of fine glassware, the rich aromas of gourmet dishes wafting through the air. Her heart fluttered with a mix of excitement and nervousness at the thought of meeting Ethan's father in such a magnificent setting. What should I wear? She asked, her mind racing through her wardrobe. Ethan chuckled softly, sensing her anticipation. Something elegant and beautiful, just like you, he replied, his eyes filled with affection. Rachel smiled, feeling a warm rush of emotion. Thank you, Ethan. This means so much to me. I want to make a great impression. Ethan took her hands in his, squeezing them gently. You already have, Rachel. My father will love you, just as I do. His words made her heart swell with happiness. They stood there for a moment, absorbing the significance of this upcoming meeting, both filled with a sense of anticipation and deep connection. As soon as Ethan excused himself to take a call, Rachel quickly dialed her best friend, Hannah. Hannah, guess what? Ethan is taking me to Le Pouc to meet his father, she exclaimed, her voice bursting with excitement. Wow, that's incredible, Hannah replied, her tone brimming with genuine enthusiasm. You must be thrilled. I am, Rachel said, her voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. This means his family must be loaded. I always knew Ethan had potential, but this just confirms it. Imagine marrying into such wealth. You're so lucky, Rachel. Make sure to impress him, Hannah advised, her words laced with encouragement. Oh, I will, Rachel said confidently. I mean, I've always wanted to marry rich. Who wouldn't? I just can't stand the idea of being with someone poor, struggling to make ends meet. It's not the life for me. You deserve the best, Hannah agreed wholeheartedly. Rachel ended the call, her mind racing with thoughts of the glamorous life she hoped to secure. Rachel leaned back, imagining the opulent lifestyle she could soon be living. Visions of luxury cars, grand vacations, and a mansion filled her thoughts. She could see herself hosting elegant parties, wearing designer dresses, and dining at the finest restaurants every night. The idea of financial security and never having to worry about money again was intoxicating. Her mind wandered further, picturing herself as the perfect partner to Ethan, supporting his ambitions and enjoying the social status that came with his family's wealth. She envisioned being the envy of her friends, living a life of ease and extravagance. The prospect of marrying into a rich family felt like a dream come true, a validation of her worth and aspirations. Rachel's heart raced with anticipation as she thought about the upcoming dinner. She mentally rehearsed her charm and wit, planning to make the best possible impression on Ethan's father. She knew this was a crucial moment, a chance to secure the future she had always desired. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of excitement, ambition, and determination as she prepared for what could be the turning point in her life. On the day of the dinner, Rachel's best friend, Hannah, insisted on tagging along. I want to see this luxurious lifestyle you're about to step into, Hannah said with a smirk. Rachel, eager to show off her impending glamorous life, agreed without hesitation. When they arrived at Les Pook, the epitome of sophistication and elegance, Ethan was taken aback to see Hannah accompanying Rachel. "I didn't know you'd bring company," he said, masking his surprise with a polite smile. Hannah insisted, Rachel replied casually, glancing at her friend with a hint of amusement. "I hope it's okay." Ethan nodded, though he felt a flicker of unease. Of course, the more the merrier. He handed Rachel a large bouquet of red roses, their rich fragrance filling the air. "These are for you," he said warmly, his eyes reflecting genuine affection. Rachel beamed, her earlier doubts momentarily forgotten. "Thank you, Ethan." "They're beautiful," she said, her voice softening with genuine appreciation. She held the bouquet close, feeling a surge of emotions. The roses were a perfect touch, a symbol of the romantic and lavish life she envisioned with Ethan. As they were escorted to their table, Rachel couldn't help but revel in the opulent surroundings. The restaurant was a picture of elegance, with crystal chandeliers casting a soft, golden glow, and the murmur of refined conversation adding to the ambience. She glanced at Hannah, who was equally impressed, her eyes wide with awe at the splendor of it all. Ethan, ever the gentleman, pulled out Rachel's chair for her, then did the same for Hannah. "Thank you," Rachel said, her voice filled with genuine gratitude. She took her seat, feeling like a queen. As they settled in, Ethan tried to hide his discomfort with the unexpected third guest. He had envisioned a more intimate evening, but he pushed those thoughts aside, determined to make the best of the situation. "So Hannah," he began, trying to break the ice, "what do you think of Les Pook?" "It's stunning," Hannah replied, her tone sincere. "I can see why you chose this place. It's perfect." Rachel, catching the underlying tension, quickly added, "Ethan, I appreciate you accommodating us both." "It means a lot," she reached out, touching his hand lightly, a gesture that was both reassuring and affectionate. Ethan smiled, the warmth of her touch easing his unease. "I'm glad you're both here," he said, looking into Rachel's eyes. "Tonight is special, and I'm happy to share it with you." Rachel felt a rush of emotion at his words, her dreams of a beautiful future with Ethan feeling more tangible than ever. She was determined to impress his father, to show him that she was the perfect match for his son. Her mind raced with thoughts of how to charm and win him over, picturing the life of luxury and happiness that lay ahead. The waiter arrived, presenting menus with a flourish. As they perused the selections, Rachel couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and anticipation. Tonight was a step closer to the life she had always dreamed of, and she was ready to seize it with both hands. The trio entered the restaurant, its opulence taking Rachel's breath away. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above, casting a dazzling glow over the room, and the tables were adorned with elegant centerpieces of fresh flowers and flickering candles. The rich aroma of gourmet cuisine wafted through the air, teasing their senses with the promise of an exquisite meal. "This place is amazing," Hannah whispered to Rachel, her eyes wide with wonder. Rachel nodded, feeling a swell of pride at the luxury surrounding them. They were shown to their table, the plush chairs and fine table settings making them feel like royalty. As they settled in, Rachel's curiosity got the better of her. "Ethan, when will your father be joining us?" she asked, her voice filled with eager anticipation. Ethan glanced around the room, his eyes searching the elegant surroundings before he turned back to Rachel. "He's already here," he replied with a calm smile. Rachel looked puzzled, scanning the room for a distinguished figure in a suit, expecting someone who matched the grandeur of the restaurant. Where she asked, her confusion evident. Ethan pointed discreetly to a corner of the room where a man in a janitor's uniform was sweeping the floor. "There he is," he said, his voice steady. Rachel's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. "Him," she whispered, her voice barely audible. She struggled to reconcile the image of a wealthy, influential man with the sight of someone performing such a humble task. The janitor, an older man with a kind face and gentle demeanor, looked up and met Ethan's gaze, giving a small nod of recognition. "Yes, that's my father," Ethan confirmed, his tone unwavering. "He owns this restaurant and several others. He believes in understanding every aspect of his business, including the hard work that goes into keeping it running smoothly." Rachel's mind raced as she processed this revelation. The grandeur of the restaurant and the wealth and success Ethan's family represented all stemmed from a man who wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty and work alongside his employees. Her initial shock gave way to a deep respect for Ethan's father and the values he upheld. Hannah, sensing the gravity of the moment, remained silent, her earlier excitement now tempered with newfound admiration. Rachel, regaining her composure, looked at Ethan with a mix of awe and gratitude. "I didn't expect that," she admitted softly, "but I think it's incredible. Your father must be an amazing man." Ethan smiled, relieved by her genuine reaction. "He is, and I know he'll be thrilled to meet you." Rachel's earlier ambitions and superficial thoughts about wealth began to shift as she saw the true measure of Ethan's family. The evening, once filled with dreams of luxury, now promised something far more meaningful and profound. As they awaited the arrival of Ethan's father at their table, Rachel felt a deep sense of anticipation, not just for the lavish meal, but for the chance to connect with a man whose humility and hard work had built the life she was so eager to be a part of. Rachel's face fell, a wave of disbelief washing over her. "You must be joking," she said, her voice tinged with shock. "No, Rachel. That's my father," Ethan replied calmly, his eyes steady. Hannah, unable to hold back, stifled a laugh. "This is some kind of prank, right?" Rachel's expression shifted from surprise to anger and confusion. "Why didn't you tell me your father is a janitor?" she demanded, her voice rising. Ethan's gaze hardened, a look of disappointment replacing his earlier warmth. "Does it matter? He's a good man, and that's what's important." Rachel's frustration boiled over, her voice becoming sharper. "Of course it matters. How could you embarrass me like this?" Ethan sighed, his patience wearing thin. "Embarrass you? This isn't about you, Rachel. It's about meeting my father." Rachel's eyes flashed with anger. "You let me walk in here thinking I was going to meet someone who fits into this luxurious setting. Not someone sweeping the floor." Ethan's expression grew stern, a mixture of hurt and resolve. "I wanted you to meet the man who worked hard to build everything you see here. He's more than his job title." Hannah, sensing the tension, tried to interject. "Rachel, maybe you should." But Rachel cut her off, her frustration spilling over. "No, I can't believe this. I thought you were different, Ethan. I thought you understood what I wanted." Ethan's eyes narrowed, his voice now cool and steady. "I do understand, Rachel, but it seems you don't understand what truly matters. My father is a man of integrity, hard work, and humility. If you can't see past his uniform, then maybe you don't belong in this family." Rachel's anger turned to a mix of shock and realization. She looked at Ethan, seeing the unwavering conviction in his eyes. For a moment she was speechless, grappling with her superficiality. Ethan continued, his voice softening but still firm. "I brought you here to meet the most important person in my life. I hoped you'd appreciate him for who he is, not what he does. If you can't do that, then I think we need to reconsider our relationship." Rachel felt a lump form in her throat, her dreams of a glamorous future slipping away. She glanced at Hannah, who looked back at her with a mix of pity and disappointment. With a heavy heart, Rachel turned back to Ethan, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I didn't mean to." Ethan shook his head, his expression somber. "It's too late for apologies, Rachel. You showed me what truly matters to you, and it's not the same as what matters to me." Rachel stood there, her mind racing with regret and confusion. The evening that was supposed to be a step toward a dream had turned into a harsh lesson about values and reality. As she walked out of the restaurant, her head held low, Ethan watched her go, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. He turned to Hannah, who gave him a sympathetic nod. "Ready to meet my father?" he asked, his voice regaining a touch of warmth. Hannah smiled, her eyes reflecting genuine admiration. "Ethan, I'd be honored." Together they walked over to the corner of the room where Ethan's father was still diligently working, unaware of the drama that had just unfolded. Ethan introduced Hannah, and the three of them sat down for a meal filled with genuine connection and mutual respect, a stark contrast to the superficial dreams Rachel had once clung to. Rachel stood up abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor, drawing the attention of nearby diners. "I can't believe you would do this to me. I thought you came from money," she said, her voice quivering with frustration. "I never lied to you," Ethan said quietly, his gaze steady. "You assumed." Hannah, sensing the escalating tension, tried to diffuse the situation. "Rachel, maybe you should sit down and give this a chance," she suggested gently. Rachel shot her a withering glare. "No, Hannah, I won't sit here and be humiliated," she snapped. Ethan stood up as well, his voice firm and unwavering. "My father works hard and deserves respect. If you can't see past his job, then maybe you're not who I thought you were." Rachel's face flushed with anger and a mix of emotions. "I don't need this. I deserve better," she declared, her voice rising. Ethan's expression softened, but his resolve remained. "Rachel, what's important to me is character, integrity, and hard work. My father embodies all of those qualities. If you can't appreciate that, then we have nothing more to say." Rachel's eyes burned with a mixture of anger and hurt. "You don't understand, Ethan. I had dreams, plans for a future that didn't involve struggling." Ethan sighed, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "Dreams built on superficiality won't last. True wealth comes from values, not bank accounts." Rachel glanced around the luxurious restaurant. The opulence that once filled her with excitement now felt hollow. "I thought we wanted the same thing," she muttered, her voice barely audible. Ethan shook his head gently. "I wanted someone who could see beyond appearances, who could appreciate the person behind the success. If you can't be that person, then we should part ways." Tears welled up in Rachel's eyes as the reality of the situation sank in. She had let her obsession with wealth and status blind her to what truly mattered. Without another word, she turned and walked out of the restaurant, her footsteps echoing through the elegant space. Hannah watched her friend leave, feeling a pang of sympathy, but also a sense of clarity. She turned to Ethan, her expression one of understanding and support. "I'm sorry, Ethan," she said softly. Ethan gave a small, sad smile. "It's okay, Hannah. Better to know now than later." Hannah nodded, appreciating Ethan's strength and integrity. "Your father sounds like an amazing man. I'd still love to meet him." Ethan's smile grew warmer. "I'd like that. Let's go introduce you." Together, they walked over to where Ethan's father was finishing his work. Ethan introduced Hannah, and the three of them settled down to enjoy their meal. The atmosphere, though less grand than Rachel had envisioned, was filled with genuine warmth, respect, and a newfound sense of connection. As they shared stories and laughter, Ethan felt a sense of peace. He realized that true wealth wasn't in the grandeur of surroundings, but in the richness of relationships built on honesty and mutual respect. As Rachel turned to leave, George, who had overheard the argument, approached the table. He extended his hand to greet her, a kind smile on his face. "Good evening, Rachel. I'm George, Ethan's father." Rachel recoiled, glaring at the hand offered to her. "How dare you touch me, you filthy janitor," she spat, her voice dripping with contempt. George's smile faltered for a moment, but he remained calm and composed. "I'm sorry if I've upset you," he said softly. Rachel's anger flared even more. "Upset? You and your son are nothing but deceitful, lowly scum. Ethan lied to me, pretending to be someone he was not just to get close to me. Pathetic." Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady but strained with emotion. "Rachel, that's not true. I never pretended to be anything I'm not." George raised a hand to stop Ethan, his eyes filled with quiet strength. "Let her speak." Hannah, sensing an opportunity to add fuel to the fire, chimed in, "Rachel, maybe you should hear Ethan out. There might be more to this than you think." Rachel shot Hannah a withering look, her fury unrestrained. "Oh, shut up, Hannah. You're just as bad, always defending these low lives." She turned back to Ethan, her eyes blazing with anger and betrayal. "You think giving me some cheap flowers and a fancy dinner would hide the fact that you're nothing but a poor, pathetic loser? Look at your father, a janitor, and you had the nerve to let me think you were rich." In a fit of rage, Rachel grabbed the bouquet of roses Ethan had given her earlier and threw them to the ground. She stomped on them, crushing the delicate petals under her heel. "This is what I think of your stupid flowers," she sneered, her voice filled with venom. Ethan's face tightened with a mixture of sorrow and disappointment. He took a deep breath, fighting to keep his composure. "Rachel, I never wanted to deceive you. My father's job doesn't define him or me. It's our character that matters." Rachel scoffed, her voice sharp and cutting. "Character? That's a joke. I want a life of luxury, not one of struggle. I deserve better than this." George, watching the scene unfold, stepped forward with quiet dignity. "Rachel, I understand you're upset, but respect is earned by the way we treat others, not by the money we have." Rachel shot him a look of pure disdain. "Save your lectures. I'm done here." With that, she turned and stormed out of the restaurant, leaving a trail of broken petals and strained silence in her wake. Ethan watched her leave, his heart heavy but his resolve strong. He turned to George, who placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You did the right thing, son," George said quietly. Hannah, witnessing the entire exchange, felt a pang of guilt for her earlier complicity. "Ethan, I'm sorry. Rachel's behavior was completely out of line." Ethan nodded, his expression softening slightly. "Thank you, Hannah. It's better to know the truth now than later." George gave Ethan an encouraging smile. "You deserve someone who sees you for who you are, not what you have." Together they sat down at the table, the initial excitement of the evening overshadowed by the harsh reality of Rachel's true nature. But in that moment, surrounded by those who genuinely cared, Ethan felt a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. As they enjoyed their meal, he realized that wealth and status were fleeting, but the bonds of respect and love were enduring and infinitely more valuable. Ethan's face paled with hurt and disbelief. "Rachel, why are you doing this? What changed? Is it just because my father works as a janitor?" he asked, his voice breaking. Rachel laughed bitterly. "Of course. Do you think the son of a janitor has any right to be with someone like me? You should know your place." She stepped closer to Ethan, her voice lowering to a dangerous whisper. "From now on, you will address me as Miss. I don't want anyone to think we're on the same level." George, trying to mediate, spoke gently. "Rachel, please, let's not escalate this. We're all just people trying to live our lives." Rachel whirled on him, her face twisted with disdain. "Shut up. You have no right to speak to me. You're nothing but a dirty janitor. Stay out of this." Ethan's eyes hardened with a newfound resolve. "That's enough, Rachel. You've made your point." Rachel smirked triumphantly. Good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have better things to do than waste my time with you and your pathetic family. She turned on her heel and stormed out of the restaurant, leaving behind a stunned silence. Ethan stood there, trying to process what had just happened. His father, George, gently nudged him. Son, you need to go after her. Explain that you love her. Taking a deep breath, Ethan nodded and rushed out of the restaurant, his heart pounding. He spotted Rachel and Hannah a short distance away, their voices carrying on the evening breeze. I can't believe I wasted so much time with Ethan, Rachel was saying. At least I found out he's a pauper before it was too late. Hannah laughed. You're right. We need to find someone who's rich, maybe that new club downtown. Definitely, Rachel agreed. It's full of wealthy men. No more time wasters like Ethan. Ethan's heart sank as he overheard their conversation. He had hoped that Rachel's outburst was a momentary lapse, but her words confirmed her true nature. Summoning his courage, he approached them. Rachel, he called out, his voice steady despite the turmoil within him. Rachel turned to face him, her expression cold and unyielding. What do you want, Ethan? Can't you see we're busy? Ethan took a deep breath. I just wanted to say goodbye. I thought we had something real, but it's clear now that your values and mine are worlds apart. I hope you find what you're looking for, but remember, true wealth isn't about money or status. It's about character and integrity. Rachel's face twisted with scorn. Spare me the lecture, Ethan. Go back to your janitor father and leave me alone. Ethan nodded, his heart heavy, but his resolve stronger than ever. Goodbye, Rachel, he turned and walked away, feeling a strange mixture of relief and sadness. As he returned to the restaurant, George met him at the door. Are you okay, son? He asked, concern etched in his features. Ethan managed a small smile. I will be, Dad. I realize now that I'm better off without someone who can't see beyond wealth and status. George patted his shoulder. I'm proud of you, Ethan. You've shown great strength and integrity tonight. Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of closure. As they sat back down at their table, the atmosphere was heavy but filled with a renewed sense of understanding and respect. They might not have the wealth and luxury Rachel desired, but they had something far more valuable: each other. And in that, they were truly rich. Ethan's stomach churned as he heard their cruel words. Steeling himself, he quickened his pace and reached out, grabbing Rachel's arm. Rachel, wait. Rachel yanked her arm away, glaring at him with disdain. Don't touch me with your filthy hands. Do you even know how much this dress costs? Ethan's face showed a mixture of hurt and confusion. Rachel, I love you. We've been together for so long. Why are you ending this over something like my father's job? Rachel scoffed, her tone dripping with contempt. Love? Sure, I loved you partly, but mostly I loved the idea of your money. Without that, what do you have to offer? Ethan's heart sank. Is that all I was to you, just a potential bank account? Obviously, Rachel replied sharply. Why would I settle for anything less? Now get out of my way. In a moment of desperation, Ethan tried to reason with her. Rachel, please, we can work through this. My love for you is real. Rachel sneered, her eyes glinting with malice. Work through what? Your poverty? No thanks. Here, why don't you prove your worth with that? She kicked over a nearby trash can, spilling its contents onto the sidewalk. Pick that up, she ordered. Maybe then I'll reconsider. Ethan stared at the scattered garbage, his heart sinking further. For a moment he hesitated, feeling the weight of humiliation pressing down on him. Then, with a sense of determination, he slowly knelt and began picking up the trash. Rachel and Hannah watched, laughing gleefully. Pathetic, Rachel muttered. Pathetic. As Ethan continued to clean up, he realized that he deserved better than this. He deserved someone who valued him for who he was, not for his wealth. The laughter of Rachel and Hannah faded into the background as a new sense of clarity emerged within him. He stood up, brushing off his hands and looking Rachel straight in the eye. "I'm done," he said quietly, yet firmly. "I'm done with you, Rachel." Rachel looked taken aback, her smirk vanishing. "Excuse me." "You heard me," Ethan said, his voice steady and resolute. "If all you care about is money, then you're not the person I thought you were." With that, he turned and walked away, his heart heavy but resolute. As he left, the weight of the past lifted from his shoulders, replaced by a newfound sense of self-worth. He knew that his true value lay not in wealth, but in the strength of his character and the love he was capable of giving. And someday he would find someone who saw that too. As Ethan walked away, the heavy burden of past illusions began to lift, leaving him with a profound realization of his worth and the true nature of love. He understood that his value lay not in material wealth, but in his character and the genuine affection he could offer. This story reminds us that our worth isn't measured by our possessions, but by our actions and integrity. What have you learned from Ethan's journey? Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and will bring into practice in your own life. Leave your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you liked this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content. Thank you for watching.